This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
From an early kickoff in the Sunday League to the final whistle at Wembley. From local heroes to international icons, groundsmen to gaffers, grassroots to golden boots. When it comes to football, it's everyone's game. Wherever you're listening across the UK, get your mates together with Carling, the beer of football. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
At BetMGM, we know how to put on a show. So we don't just do offers, we do golden offers like this.
MGM Millions, our supersized jackpot where right now you could win over £21 million.
Get ready for the golden era in online casino. BetMGM, it's showtime.
Minimum 10p game stake. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
So good evening and welcome to the next edition of the Away End. I'm Craig Courtney and I am joined by Matt Lax from the Rotherham podcast, the New York Talk. So Matt, thank you very much in time this evening to talk about our upcoming game. Tell us a little bit about your podcast, yourself, your involvements, and then we'll go on to the game.
Yeah, I started the podcast. It's probably coming up 5 years now, just before COVID. There is no other Rotherham United podcasts around, so we thought we might as well do all we do is with the group. We'll talk about it anyway, so we may as well record it, and then it's kind of built up over the last couple of years. We do the twice a week podcast, generally like a preview and a review show, depending on how many games they've played, and then we do like an instant reaction outside the stadium. We then put on YouTube in the evening after, so there's a bit more emotion involved in that one because we're either really happy or really angry or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's been good. It's good fun. It's always fun talking about your own club, isn't it? And doing these things as well, coming with you guys, it's just good fun.
It's brilliant. Gotta say, I love it. Just recently done the Wrexham one, and when you guys get to play them, I highly recommend a podcast with them because they're just the chap was absolutely brilliant and spoke obviously so fondly of his club, but the story behind them and where they are now is just it's you can tell there's a documentary behind it, and it's you know what I mean, it's only going to continue. So really, in terms of podcasts, it hasn't been that long since we last spoke. In fact, the last away end and penultimate one of the season was with your good selves. We're not going to talk about that though, because it was the bottom end of that season. We all know what happened, and arguably both teams got, I suppose it's fair to say, what we deserved, which was the relegation into Division A. But you've had a summer of incoming players and change that I think was expected of Steve Evans because he'd only just come through the door when we played.
First game, I think, yeah.
That's right, yeah, his first game. So, he set his stall out during that. Probably the worst game I have seen Birmingham play in a very, very, very long time, and I'm so glad that we don't have to watch that drivel again. When we had an opportunity to get ourselves out of trouble, we didn't. We just sat back and thought, I think it's wrong. So we both ended up relegated. We've gone into Division 1 with both clubs, it's fair to say, high expectations. And a summer overall for both of us. Tell us a little bit about what Steve Evans has done since you have been relegated. What's the difference, I guess, now between where you were at that point in time and where you are now? And I know it's early in the season, but what is the key difference?
At the minute, so when the season ended, there was a bit of positivity because we got moving transfers so quick. We signed a player within like a week of the season being finished. And that was the benefit. One of the only benefits of being so bad that you got relegated in April is that you can plan really, really early. So the plan's all in place. We signed something like 7 or 8 players by the end of May, which again, most clubs hadn't signed anybody. So it was really exciting. Some of the calibre of some of the players we signed were really good. Chancellor Clark-Harris, for example.
Yep.
You have Sean Raggett and Joe Rafferty, who just won the league with Portsmouth last season. Some really, really good players. It slowed down a bit. We've signed, I think, 14 in total. Only one in August, though, so it really did kind of slow down. But going into the season, there was a lot of positivity because there always is. Especially when you come down, you expect to at least start winning games and picking up points, this, that, and the other. But we got brought back down to earth with an absolute bang with a 1-0 loss away at Exeter, which was deserved. It wasn't one of those games where we played well. We completely deserved to lose. We've only won one game so far, and that was against Huddersfield. Ironically, we played two challengers for promotion. We'd say it's Huddersfield and Charlton, and we've drawn and beat Charlton and beat Huddersfield, and we haven't really played well against anybody else. We've played Burton the weekend, who aren't expected to do anything. We were very poor. Like I mentioned, Exeter, Wickham. We lost to Wickham and deserved to lose to Wickham at their place. Steve Evans doesn't know his best team yet, so there is an air of concern around the place at the minute because it can take Steve Evans time to do that. And I think had we not had the season we had last season, it wouldn't have been so bad. But we've come into this season, I'm sure you guys did, right? Start winning games now. We've had a terrible 12 months. Just give me some points in the world. Give me some moments I can kind of cling on to and be happy about. One win in 6 games, it's not a terrible start because Bolton were done much worse than us, for example, who were expected to do very, very well.
Indeed.
But the air of optimism around the place is dripping down game by game at the minute. We've got problems, but I don't know whether. I hope Stevens will sort it, but I've not seen anything yet to say we will be challenging this season. Everything I've seen is a mid-table team, but then Steve Evans can just click. Just in a moment, he can click it, and then we'll go on a really good run. But the eye test at the minute is not. It's failing at the minute.
And I think this was the key, wasn't it? I mean, the expectation was massive on ultimately the 3 clubs that were relegated. You know, I think if I remember rightly, when we looked at the bookies after the leagues had been settled, the bookies immediately had put ourselves, yourselves, and Huddersfield as those top 3 teams. You know, they were the ones that they were taking the money on being promoted, and you know, from a Birmingham aspect, I mean, what can I say? We've well and truly hit the reset button. Bringing in what is it, 18 players. Beating the League One record for transfer fees, not once, twice, but 3 times. And in fact, in the last one, well, we over tripled it. So, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm not going to lie, it's exciting times, and we've said it on Tilton Talk. In all the years of supporting the club, we're arguably more excited now than we have been in the times that, you know, we were talking Premier League, winning the League Cup, and going through the other promotions. It's a good time to be a Birmingham fan, and you know, we're coming off the back of we're unbeaten in the league. That means nothing as far as I'm concerned. It's still early days. We haven't gelled. Similar to yourself, we haven't gelled fully. You know, I'd say 75, 80% of capacity is the way that we've played so far. But we've got the results, and we're coming into the game with yourselves off the back of a phenomenal performance on Monday against Wrexham. You know, we went behind in the first couple of minutes, but then absolutely dominated the rest of the game. And that's typical of what you will see from the Chris Davies Birmingham City. And that is the big difference between what we saw the back end of last year and what we get now. It's going to be a tough game. It always is when we come to your place. In fact, you know, look over the records, and we've played 39 games between the clubs over the years. Yes, it's pleasant reading it away for a Birmingham fan because there's 20 wins. We've drawn 12 and we've only lost the 7. But however, in the last 5, it's actually 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. And the 2 draws were both poor draws. You know,
terrible.
You know, God, the one last season at your place was, let's not even go there. So it's it's going to make an interesting game on Saturday. The weight of expectation arguably is on the Birmingham side again. It's going to be. We're coming in with a lot of confidence and hopefully gonna come in and obviously get a result. It's what we all want. But we are missing Bielik. He was, his red card on Monday evening rules him out of this game. So luckily only a one-match ban, but it's still going to be a difference. And it'll be interesting to see who actually fills his spot, because they've got players that they can swap around, and we'll see. Chris Davies will make the decision closer to the time, and in it we trust. So going into the weekend, I mean, first of all, Birmingham yet again another sellout away end. Well, I've got a prediction that we'll sell out every away game this season. That's where I think we are. We've had 3 home games, and all of those in the league have been sellouts, and we're very close at the moment to a sellout against Peterborough a week on Saturday. So, the sense of optimism is huge.
Yeah,
going into the game, mentioned numerous players that you've signed across the summer. The rebuild that Steve Evans has been working on. So tell us who we should actually be watching out for now that you've got these new players through the door.
There's only really one player that's kind of stood out. Well, maybe 2. Malik Wilkes is the real standout. He signed on loan from Sheffield Wednesday. He's one of those players that feels like he's been around forever, but he's still only 25. He's still a really, really good age. But for this level, he is very, very good. He's strong. He's so strong. You can't knock him off the ball, but he's quick. His close control is really, really good. He can put a cross in. He can score a goal. He ticks loads and loads of boxes. He is a winger, but we're playing him as a 10. We've got some issues with formation at the minute. We're playing his best winger centrally, as you do. But he's a constant threat. Although he is a winger, the central role does help because he can then float out wide and isolate a fullback on either side. So he has been very, very good. He scored against Huddersfield, scored a winner against Huddersfield, and could have scored a late winner against Burton as well. Is just a constant threat. When we're in possession, is a constant threat. The other one is Sam Nombe, who is a striker. We paid £1 million from last year, which is still a club record. He hasn't scored yet, but he is somebody you'll notice because he will put pressure on with the way you're going to play, kind of playing out from the back. Nombe is going to be the one that's, I suspect, tasked with putting the pressure on and trying to create that mistake that will happen. He's the kind of player we like. He'll run and run and run and run and run. He is a good, really good player. He just kind of hasn't found the back of the net yet. And you should always be wary of Jonson Clarke-Harris. He's not been great this season, but he's got 2 goals already. And if you're playing in League One and Jonson Clarke-Harris is playing, you need to watch out for him because he can be rubbish for 89 minutes, but that 1 minute he will just find that little bit of space and will score that goal. So those are the key players. There hasn't been much to shout about, so there's not many other players that are worth kind of giving too much praise to at the minutes, but hopefully that'll change on Saturday.
I mean, so you've mentioned there about the players to watch out for, but what's the tendency in terms of formation this year? How do you set up, or is it one of those where actually Steve Evans decides just before kick-off how he's gonna set up his team, and then ultimately, what would you class as your weak spot?
So our formation is a kind of a 4-3-1-2, sort of, which doesn't work for us. We're desperate for width, and Steve Evans won't play with width. We started the season originally with a 3-5-2-ish, and it was terrible. It was really, really bad. Just for one reason or another, it just didn't work. And bear in mind, we played all pre-season that way. You've got to then change it. So it's roughly a 4-3-1-2, very narrow. The three in the middle are proper central midfielders who don't kind of go out wide. It's then down to Wilkes to kind of just find a bit of space. Nombe does what we're running now, and then Clarke-Harris kind of just stands in the middle and kind of waits for service, really. There's not much mobility from Jonson Clarke-Harris. We're desperate as fans to get the width out there because Wilkes is a winger. He's a really good winger. We've got a lad called Joseph Hungbo, who we signed on loan from Nuremberg, who is in pre-season looked brilliant as a winger. So we've got 2 ready-made wingers, but we just don't play them. So that will be interesting to see if he does change it, see if he kind of bows under a little bit of pressure, because it ain't working at the minute in the current formation.
Do you see that as a downside? Do you see that as being, well, we use the word weakness because every team's got a weakness. But do you think that that is the weakness that you've got at the moment? Is that Steve Evans will not play out wide, but you've got the players to do it? And then does that mean that that's where the teams ultimately are attacking you?
Basically, yeah. We're really we're just there's nobody out wide, and it definitely is a weakness. And and you can tell from the change in the formation from game 1 to the rest is that the players don't really look like they know what they're doing in terms of the system. Now, these players are good players, so I think their quality is bringing them over the line to get a point against Burton and point against Bristol Rovers. I think the quality of the players is what's bringing them over. We've talked a lot on our podcast this season about we watch the game and we can't understand fully what we're actually doing. The players kind of look a little bit lost in certain places, and the substitutions it brings on are just completely mad. It's a real weakness that we're not organised. You expect a Steve Evans team is, right, they're organised, they're direct, and they play out wide, crossing the box.
They're always up for the fight. I mean, that's the one thing I would say is every time he's been up against us, you've had a team that battles. And, even that game at the back end of last season, we were 2 very, very, very poor sides. Ultimately, that's the reason we got relegated. We were the worst teams. But it was one of those games where, yes, it was his first one in charge. You knew he was going to set the stall out and just want to shut up shop.
And there it is, that's as good as it gets on this stage. Nissan Townstar EV strikes again. It's an unstoppable van, unstoppable.
Look, just fantastic. You can actually see the Pro Pilot technology in action. Effortless parallel parking.
It moves with all the confidence that comes with a 5-year warranty.
And with a bench full of all-star van experts, there's real strength in depth here.
That's all-star quality.
Search Nissan Townstar EV and visit your local all-star van centre to see for yourself.
Terms and conditions apply. 5 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first.
ProPilot is an advanced driver assist technology. Driver's responsibility to stay alert, drive safely, and control vehicle at all times.
At BetMGM, we know how to put on a show. So we don't just do offers, we do golden offers like this.
MGM Millions, our supersized jackpot where right now you could win over £21 million.
Get ready for the golden era in online casino. BetMGM, it's showtime.
Minimum 10p game stake. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
But actually, there was nothing else from either team on the day. I'm hoping, obviously, we'll see a difference this coming game, because the one thing I can say about Birmingham is we are now a front foot on the press type of team. It's Davis's way. He likes the high press, and with arguably the players that we've signed and the strike force that we've got now, we should score goals. I mean, getting first of all May. And he started the season on absolute fire. I mean, everything he touched literally was turned into gold. And he is learning a different way now that we've got Stansfield in the team as well. And actually, the one thing we saw on Monday is they're interlocking, they're overlapping. There is for me, still a big learning curve for the pair of them. But, our equaliser against Wrexham came because Alfie May got to the edge of the box and let one go, and it was a powerful shot. It was parried by the keeper. Stansfield puts it away. And then when you look at the rest of the game, whilst he hasn't scored the goals, his movement is just opening up space for others to go into. And it's interesting that you talk about the fact of not having the width, because we're actually, for the first time in a long time, playing with natural wingers, and it's really nice to see. Hansen is still to show his true potential, but when he gets the ball, the way he runs at players, he's not afraid to take on anybody.
Yeah.
Is one, I suppose, downside for me at the moment is when he has an opportunity to whip a ball in first time, he doesn't. And I just wish he would just, kind of have a go, get past the player, whip in a ball, because whether it's across the floor or in the air, we've got the potential. The midfield this year is completely different. I mean, Awata and Paik on Monday were just unreal. It was an absolute beauty to see. They controlled everything through the midfield.
Yeah.
And then you've got Williamson, who he is the workhorse, he is the power man. And not only does he get himself forwards, but he's not afraid to put his foot in and get the tackles.
Yeah.
So it's going to make for a good one. And then, as much as you might not want to hear this, we've also got the two fullbacks who are not afraid to bomb forwards and whipping a ball. Our second goal on against Wrexham was from a Cochrane cross, which
what a cross.
Beckham was in the stadium watching the game. He'd have been proud of it himself. So it's just it's just such a difference, and the weight of expectation is on their shoulders. Though everybody wants to beat Birmingham. Nobody will say that they don't. It's the FA Cup final for everybody when we play, whether that's home or away, and we've got to continue to go on the run that we're on at the moment. So it's got to make it of a great game. It really does. Let's just hope we don't get the dull and boring 0-0 that we had last year. So right, we mentioned new players, and there's a little bit of a challenge that I always do on the away end is kind of saying to my esteemed colleagues on the other side, can you name some players that have played for both clubs? Now, it's quite a list actually between Rotherham and Birmingham, so no pressure. But can you name 5 that have turned out for both clubs? And that can be permanent moves, loan moves, whichever it is. But can you name 5 players that have represented both clubs?
Probably not. But yeah, we'll give it everyone. Cohen Bramall's the easy one because he's still here. Then I've struggled after that, to be honest. Did Curtis Woodhouse play for you guys?
He did indeed.
Yes. Did David Stockdale play for you guys?
He did indeed. He was our goalkeeper when we went through the season where we thought we was going to do everything, and good old Harry Redknapp was in charge. He spent shed loads of money, and then we fought relegation. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
You're thinking you weren't going to get any. You've got 3 straight off there.
I know. I think that's where I've got that. I can't think of any of the players because it's generally come to us after you. It's rarely it's the other way around.
Well, to give you a hint, you've had another goalkeeper, more defenders. Lee Camp, yeah. The legend that is. You've also had many defenders that have crossed the divide as such, midfielders and a couple of strikers. So I think of
who would have had certainly recently. There must be.
There's one player.
Where's Hardy?
Yes. I was about to say he'd signed straight away from Birmingham for your good selves.
Should have got that.
Let's give you some initials for some of the others. Then, so there's one particular person. He only turned out a couple of times for Birmingham, and arguably for me the worst defender that we have seen at the club, despite the fact that he actually came from Man United. So that might help you out with the position. First initial T.
No.
Surname begins with a B.
No, I don't ring a bell, that one.
But you hate your misery, Tyler Blackett.
Oh, Tyler Blackett. He was good for us last year. Until he tore
it's just the thing, right? So when I also when he turned out for Birmingham, I mean, he was a youngster. And there really was a massive weight of expectation on his shoulders when he came in. And he had an absolute nightmare. And I don't think he started again for us. He come off the bench a couple of times, but terrible. You've mentioned Wes Harding, so I'll go through the others that were there. We've mentioned Tyler Blackett, Cohen Bramall, Lee Camp, David Stockdale. So another defender, Stephen Kelly, represented both clubs. We've also got midfielders, and some good names here. So Shane Ferguson.
Oh, I didn't know who you were, guys. That left foot of Shane Ferguson was brilliant.
He came to Birmingham on loan from Newcastle. And then I think if I remember rightly, he signed for, I think it was Millwall, and then he went from Millwall to yourself, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So you had Tom Adeyemi as well, Andrew Shinnie, again, both had opportunities with Birmingham and never really took off, which is a shame. Matty Derbyshire,
Right, your guys.
again, only on loan with us, and really didn't get too much of a look in. From up in Scotland, Mark Birchall.
Throwback, yeah.
Wes Thomas as well, representing both clubs.
He's a Steve Evans sign. He did well in League One for us.
He did.
Briefly.
You've mentioned Curtis Woodhouse, and the last two that I've got. So one is going way back in the days, but Greg Alford, obviously represented both clubs. And finally, Will Grigg as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So, we have had quite a few names that have overlapped.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're coming up to the game. It's still early in the season. Both teams arguably still gelling. I don't think there's one team that we can honestly say is at 100%. And you don't normally see it until after the final international break of the year anyhow. So we're going into the game. What do you think it'll end up being in terms of a result? And what does your head say and what does your heart say for a score?
There's concern among fans, bear in mind, particularly your second half against Wrexham, that this could be a really, really tough afternoon for us. Bear in mind what we say about our formation and how things are not settled, and you guys aren't settled fully, but you're still performing like that. There's a bit of a concern. I can't see past a Birmingham win. I suspect it'll be something like 2-1 to you guys, but it'll be quite a comfortable 2-1. I think it'll be a 2-1 where you control the game and we hit you on the break maybe, or something like that. It'll be as a comfortable 2-1 as you'll see. Having said that, it'd be classic Steve Evans to turn up and beat you. In fairness to him, he does get his teams up for the bigger games. So when Huddersfield came and it was a full house, the team were up for it. And it'll be the same. You guys, your away following is amazing. Always one of the best away crowds at New York Stadium. So the atmosphere will be great. And Steve Evans can thrive off it. He can feed off it and feed into the players a little bit. So I'm certainly not writing us off. But I am concerned that if we play like we did last week against Burton, it's a done deal. You've won the game. And it will not be a nice atmosphere for mine. If you end up winning comfortably by 3-4-1 or 3-4-0, something like that, then the atmosphere I say will get pretty toxic. But I suspect it'll be relatively close, but you'll still be pretty comfortable at 2-1.
I'm taking it off what we've seen so far this season. So when I look at our away games, the thing that stood out is possession. And then when they're in possession, the fact that when we're moving forwards, we look dangerous from every angle. Yes, we've got the Stansfield and Alfie May strike force, but they're in their early doors. They're still learning how to play off each other.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think will happen, and is potentially the big difference this time, is if they're fed the right ball, then both of them can finish. And this is the key. We are yet to see them both on the score sheet in the same game, but we've seen them both score goals that have been, you just wouldn't think they would come in and then off they go. So going into the game, yes, I'm positive. I can't say I'm not going to. We're on a mega high at this present moment, but this league, despite what everybody says, is still tough, and it's actually it is a really good overall league in terms of the standard of play that we've seen so far. So it's going to be tight to start off with. We will attack.
Yeah.
We will be open at times, and that's one thing I'm not afraid to say is the way that we play and the style and that front press that we do put on teams does open us up, so people can come and attack us. It's a case of you getting through our midfield. If you get through the midfield, you might have an opportunity. But you know, with the way that is and the way it's set up at the moment, it'll be a struggle for most teams to get through it. And what I would say is, I don't think you'd pass your way through it. It's going to be more of get a ball over the top and lump it forward and see what happens. You know, we've got Peacock Farrell in goal, who is prone to a mistake, but he's still young. You know, he was Monday. He's not solely to blame. I still think that ultimately there was a little bit of a foul involved there in terms of the way that he was knocked down, but he also was pretty weak when he went up in the air for that ball. So, you know, there's going to be concern over that, but where my head says at the moment, and I'll go with the prediction that I've made on our show as well, which is I think we'll have a comfortable 2-0 win. However, I wouldn't write off conceding. You know, we due a clean sheet.
Yeah, I know you are.
We are due a clean sheet, but you know we are leaking the odd goals. And you know, hopefully it'll make to be another good game. And like I say, you don't want to. I don't want to see any team suffering. I want to see everybody doing as well as they possibly can. But also, I'm not going to hide the fact that at some point or other, there's going to be a team that takes an absolute tonking off Birmingham, and it hasn't happened for years. It's got to come, I believe, this season at some point. You know, God, everybody would love it to be this week, but I don't think it will be. So I'll stick with me 2-0. And hopefully, you know, at the end of it, we walk away where, you know, we're saying it's been a good game and the best team won. So again, as always, thank you very much indeed for joining us and going through this. We'll definitely do this again when you play us down at St Andrews at Knighthead Park. Hopefully, we'll see you down there for that one as well. And you never know, by that time we might have gone past the stage of having sellouts for every game. We might just leave it a little bit. But look forward to when you come back down, and looking forward to the game at the weekend. So thank you very much indeed again for joining. May the best team win on Saturday. Albeit I will say I want you to have the worst game of your season. So plain and simple. But yeah, may the best team win on Saturday, and keep on. Thanks a lot.
At BetMGM, we know how to put on a show. So we don't just do offers, we do golden offers like this.
MGM Millions, our supersized jackpot where right now you could win over £21 million.
Get ready for the golden era in online casino. BetMGM, it's showtime.
Minimum 10p game stake. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
From an early kickoff in the Sunday League to the final whistle at Wembley. From local heroes to international icons, groundsmen to gaffers, grassroots to golden boots. When it comes to football, it's everyone's game. Wherever you're listening across the UK, get your mates together with Carling, the beer of football. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.